Smackdown Live. Well, actually, not just Smackdown. It's not Smackdown Live. I like saying Smackdown Live. It sounds more important. Particularly with this show that feels like a repeat from last week. It does. It feels like a repeat that we got last week. Now, I could be wrong. Guys, tell me how you feel below. But it does feel like a repeat. Let me give it to you like this. Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes. Now, not saying that's a repeat. It's not. But what do we really get for Andrade? He has to win with a good match with Carmelo Hayes. But I'm wondering where they're going to go with him when he was supposed to be dealing with Legado del Fantasma. You can get that. And that's kind of the strange thing. Why aren't we doing something with Legado del Fantasma with Santos Escobar? Fighting with him with that, but we're not getting that. Second match. Chelsea Green versus a 2-minute long match that she doesn't win with a Bianca Belair. I say roughly 2 minutes, maybe 3, but 2 minutes I think is about the max that it went. And we just got Chelsea jobbing out to a Bianca. And this all stems off of each one of them wanting a tag match against the tag champs. Now, did we see the tag champs? Yeah, we did see Alba Fyre and Aladon. I admit I like Aladon. She's cute as hell. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the hair. Maybe it's the way she talks. Maybe how much boob she's showing. Maybe it's just we get to see them finally. And I think that's the key here. For so many months, we didn't see nothing Aladon and Alba Fyre. And just when we finally get to see them, we do. We get this. But then it doesn't feel very important. And after what Alba Fyre has gone through, with her mother dying, unfortunately, because of a car accident, I feel like there should be more. There should be way more. But there isn't. And understand, I'm not against Aladon. I'm not against Alba Fyre. I'm not. I said multiple times, where have they been for months? And finally they show them. They win a match that leads them to the titles. They get the titles. Alba Fyre loses her mother just before that happens. They got the titles. But now the question is, what are they doing with them? They're not bringing them over to Raw. That's the thing that gets me. Unless I haven't seen them over there and I flat out missed them, it seems that the tag championships are now stuck on Raw. No, not Raw. No. Here's the thing. Those undisputed titles are supposed to go from Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. They're not going to Raw. I haven't seen them at NXT. They're just SmackDown exclusives. And that kind of is a good thing, but then there's no story behind any of the times. There's very few women on SmackDown to really make the division feel like anything. And why? We got Tatum Paxley. And see this. If we get Tatum Paxley, Wendy Chu, and Rosemary meet one another, that might be interesting. But if there isn't, you got Tatum Paxley working with a Wendy Chu, that could be a tag team that's not going to go up against the titles, not going to go up against the champs. I know I'm saying not going up against the titles. Essentially, I'm trying to make it more interesting than it is. I'm just saying, I'm not against the tag champs, but what are they doing? Moving on. Tiffany Stratton versus Michin. This kind of feels like what happened last week. With kind of the same thing that happened before. Just mixed up a little bit. Yeah. Michin went up against did I say Tatum Paxley? Instead of Tiffany Stratton. My mistake. I'm still trying to make this interesting. I'm not against Tiffany. You know how I feel about Michin. She should leave WWE. I'm being honest here. Yes, she won. But what does that really mean for her? Nothing. Honestly. When you look at what's going on with Michin, yeah, she has something with Miss Parker and Out the Mud and OC. But other than that, that's it. And I don't know if that's really good for her. I don't know even going on the main roster is good for her anymore. They just use her to be able to make sure everyone else gets over. Now, maybe she's fine with that. Maybe she's been in the business long enough. She says, you know what, I want to make sure these girls get over. And I commend her. But as someone who's seen how badly she was treated twice now, she was kicked out of WWE, came back. She's now come back now, and she's not really doing much. They didn't do much with her. They put her down to NXT. Yeah, she seemed to be doing something for a little while when it came to North American Championship. If it wasn't going to be a Natalya win the North American Championship, it should have been Michin. That would have gave her something. No. So she went, getting kicked out of WWE, came back. I think she got kicked out twice. But I'm forgetting now. To be honest, I don't want to think about it. She just leave. But when you look at the match, it feels like a repeat from last week. Doesn't mean it's bad. Doesn't mean seeing what happened with a Nia Jax getting laid out with the briefcase and then getting destroyed by, well, somewhat getting destroyed by a Bayley is a bad thing. It still feels kind of like a repeat. To a certain extent, it does. You can tell me if I'm wrong. But it kind of feels like, even though they got a little mixed up, it feels like a repeat from last week. It kind of does. Now, let's make this clear what we got when it comes to Cody, KO, versus A-Town Down Under. A-Town Down Under loses again. But then you don't see the trigger of Grayson Waller taking out a Austin Fury. We haven't seen it. Maybe it'll happen at SummerSlam. Or they just drag it out until they get this the 6 tag team straightened out to see who's going to be going after the tag. You see I'm botching here because I'm going like, why didn't they just trigger it already? Why didn't they just do Grayson Waller go and lay out a Austin Fury and just get it done and they have a match at SummerSlam? Even if it's at the kickoff show, at least we get it done. I feel like they're dragging it out and it really doesn't feel like it needs to be dragged out. It doesn't. They should have already pulled the trigger. It's just how I feel. And then we get the Bloodline coming out, destroying them. A repeat from last week. Just instead of KO, it was Randy Orton last week. Now, the one interesting stuff we had here was, let me give it to like this. Opening with Cody was okay. But that wasn't the one that was the most important to me. It was, and I know you're going to say, well, what about Nia Jax? What about Bayley? They talked well. It wasn't bad. Bayley talked all right. Nia Jax talked okay. Seeing that Nia Jax was kind of called out by Bayley saying, in 2017, you messed up my time. You messed me up and said, oh, because I beat you. No, because you were messy and clumsy and reckless. She legitimately ousted a Nia Jax a little bit. That was a little bit of realism there, guys. If you don't think that was real, look at how Nia Jax has performed over the years. She has been very sloppy, and she's been reckless. That's hurt multiple women and one man, and that was in R-Truth where he got hurt. His ankle was messed up because of her. And I'm not telling she's hasn't gotten better. She has gotten a little better. We haven't heard any women getting hurt since she came back and since they booked her the way she's been booked. But before, that girl could not win a match without hurting somebody. Period. Every match she went into, there was always some controversy that she's been hurting people. Only now, she hasn't been hurting anybody. So, this talk was a little bit of realism. I have a problem with it. And it went with the match with Tiffany and Michin, who I called Tatum Paxton, if I'm right. Final thing we got, which was, my eyes are itching. Sorry, guys. I forgot to take my medicine for my allergies. I'm an idiot. Logan Paul and the LA Knight. That was the best thing on the show. Flat out, that's it. That's all we got. That is it. Seeing that LA Knight and Logan Paul got some good They got good chemistry when they talk. Seeing that Logan Paul called him Sean. Use his damn government name. Use LA Knight's government name. I'm sorry. That's a no-no. You don't do that. Even though he called them a Rock wannabe, which, come on, everyone copies somebody, and that's what he's doing. And ain't no problem with it. And it worked. People loved LA Knight. People booed Logan Paul. We had the Nick Aldis there to make sure everything was working smoothly. This was the best part of the night completely for me personally. I'm not saying the matches were bad, but I didn't care about the matches. I didn't. This was the one thing I cared about. And it was done very well. Yes, we had to fight afterward. A little bit of almost getting his head knocked off, which is LA Knight. And a little bit of blunt force trauma to the Logan Paul, which he managed to avoid. I'm very interested in seeing this match. I want to see the excuse me, see the U.S. Championship. I want to see it. I am looking forward to it. Do I believe he's going to win? I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell if LA Knight's going to win. I'm not going to tell Logan Paul is going to lose. I'm not telling you nothing. But I am telling you I enjoyed this. I did. This was the only part I enjoyed the most of the show. Everything else was okay, but it felt like a repeat from last week that was just turned around on its side. The reverse of it. I know I could be wrong. You can tell me below. Maybe you liked it. It wasn't a bad show, but it just didn't feel like it was important. It just felt like they just needed to get it done. Peace.